In today's video, I want to discuss the topic of the Bitcoin halving. Is the Bitcoin halving even still relevant? Now, with the massive market crash that we have seen over the last few weeks, not as many people are talking about the Bitcoin halving anymore. But you know what? Bitcoin, as always, really doesn't care about its value versus the US dollar. And those blocks, they just keep coming every 10 minutes. In the Bitcoin halving, it just keeps getting closer and closer by the block. Now, with all of the upsets that we've seen in the market over the last few weeks, I want to really dig in and explore what we might be able to expect from the Bitcoin halving this time around. Will it play out according to those historical trends, or are we in for a big surprise? The cryptolark, this is where you subscribe for all of the hottest and all of the latest happening in this crazy place that we call Cryptoland. By the way, the Crypto.com debit card is now shipping to the UK and will be shipping very soon across all of the EU. It's already available for people in the USA, New Zealand, and Australia. So click on the link down below and you can get $50 in free crypto when purchasing a Ruby Red tier card or higher. And you can start earning up to 5% crypto back rewards with every swipe of your card, along with all those awesome extra perks like free Netflix and free Spotify and airport lounge access. Okay, so the Bitcoin halving, it is currently less than 50 days away. So soon, I can't believe it. Now, when the Bitcoin halving happens, a rather unexciting bit of code executes that results in the total amount of Bitcoin produced in each block being cut from 12.5 down to 6.25, or the total daily emission of Bitcoin down from 1,800 to 900 Bitcoin. But well, the event itself is likely to be a big old fat nothing burger. It is the price speculation in the lead up to this event that gets everyone so gosh darn excited. And obviously we have to discuss the impact that it's going to have on the miners as well. And obviously, people are really looking past the Bitcoin halving to see where the price might go when that daily emission rate gets cut in half. But I want to start this conversation off by talking about Bitcoin miners. Currently, the price for miners to be profitable, approximately around $5,000. That's the average globally. Obviously, some have it cheaper and more expensive, but when the Bitcoin halving happens, it's going to need to be $10,000 per Bitcoin for most of these miners to be profitable. Even the cheapest miners are going to need Bitcoin to be around $8,000. And that's, of course, running the latest generation machines. The older generation of Bitcoin mining machines are almost categorically unprofitable at these prices for most miners, and they have been shut off, which is clearly evidenced by the massive drop in hash rate that we've seen over the last few weeks. We have dropped 45%, down from 136 to 75 million tera hashes a second. Now, if prices do not recover significantly in the near future, then we can expect the hash rate to fall even further. And this is all before the Bitcoin halving even happens. Post-halving, if prices do not see a very significant increase, then we could indeed see another big drop in the hash rate, since basically all of the older generation machines will be completely unprofitable at that point, even for the miners that can get the cheapest power. Now, what does this mean for the Bitcoin network? Well, short term, it means the Bitcoin network will be less secure. That being said, it is still mind-bogglingly secure. But the crisis is really putting a pinch on Bitcoin miners at this time, because they're having real trouble getting their hands on the latest equipment out of China. Bitmain, for example, they just released a new 100 terahash Bitcoin miner, which is a massively powerful machine. But many people are not going to be able to have access to those machines thanks to the ongoing pandemic and the slowdown in the global supply chains. Now, with the Bitcoin halving still around 6 weeks away, we've already seen many miners closing up shops at these prices. The halving, it's going to put a lot more miners out of business. Now, what this means is that as the hash rate drops from these smaller operations going out of business, that the difficulty to mine Bitcoin, that will also drop. In fact, the difficulty for Bitcoin dropped by a whopping 16% today, which is the biggest drop in the age of the ASICs and the second biggest drop ever in its history, with another drop expected to happen in 2 weeks. Now, a dropping difficulty means that it makes it more likely for miners to be profitable, especially those who can get their hands on the new equipment. So a downtrend in difficulty adjustment completes the so-called miner capitulation cycle. And look, far from being a bad thing, which you might think, oh, it's really, really bad, all these things happening. But no, this really just underlines how robust and how actually reactionary the incentive structure is for mining Bitcoin. Because a dropping difficulty, that will actually allow some miners to be able to turn their machines back on, which makes the network, again, more secure. So it's this constant push and pull effect. Hash rates should increase with that drop in difficulty. Now, if not, then we, of course, may see a further drop in difficulty to try to lure those miners back in to turn their machines back on. Anyway, so that's what's happening to the network at the moment. The massive price moves are also having a big impact on the miners, the network hash rate, and the difficulty. None of that is really, really surprising. But I know why you came to watch this video. You want to know about the price of Bitcoin leading into the halving and what is going to happen after the halving. Well, that is exactly what I intend to discuss with you today. Now, to get a better picture of how the future may play out, let's take a look at what happened back in 2016. Now, 48 days before the Bitcoin halving, the price was kind of just chilling there, and then about 43 days out, blammo, we saw a big run on the price of Bitcoin, actually moving up 77% in the space of around 4 weeks before, of course, retracing back a bit to hit around 50% greater price at the time of the halving. Now, after the halving, we saw Bitcoin take a dump, a rather big, steamy one at that, around 27.5% down. Then from the halving to the all-time high, it took 526 days, or approximately 18 months, to reach a new cycle peak around the $20,000 mark. Now, essentially what we saw here was a rise in price from the time of the halving until the cycle peak of 2,860%, or a little over $19,000 in total dollar terms. It is also worth pointing out here that during that 18-month period post-halving, that there were multiple brutal price drops of over 30%. Now let's go ahead and zoom out here a little bit for a prediction. And since we are doing predictions, you know what that means. It's time for the hopium bong, baby. Yeah. It's the good stuff. Now, let's go ahead and open up the charts here. Now we've got our hit from the hopium bong and see what we're going to be looking at. So, 48 days from now, that will bring us up to the Bitcoin halving. Now, if the price were to increase by 50% from here, then we could indeed see Bitcoin reach around $10,500 by the time of the halving. But $10,000, I mean, come on, Lark, that's not super, that's boring, man. You're boring, big $10,000. I didn't click on this video to talk about a $10,000 Bitcoin, Lark. Come on, man. I just put all that stuff in the hopium bong. What's this for? $10,000. Okay. Let's bust out the good stuff then. Bitcoin is still on track to hit $100,000 this cycle. I know it sounds crazy to say that after the last few weeks we've been through and all the pessimism currently in the market. But it is seriously going to go to $100,000 probably around the end of next year. You have to remember low time preferences. Now, if we do get a run to around $10,500 before the Bitcoin halving, then remember that we're also likely to see a correction post-halving by up to 30%, which could bring us as far back down as around $7,500 post-halving if all of this plays out as we think it might. By the end of this year, we could be looking at a $20,000 Bitcoin once again, so crossing just back over that previous all-time high. And by the end of next year, that is when we could be looking at that $100,000 Bitcoin. Now, that being said, we are still out of bounds here on the Bitcoin logarithmic growth curve chart. But remember, the upper bounds of this chart, they give us Bitcoin at $100,000. Now, a short-term drop below the bottom band on this chart, that does not invalidate it if, of course, we can recover quickly enough. A long-term play down here, that's probably not going to be very, very good. But the short-term picture, it can still get brutal. Chances are that this halving will look nothing like the previous ones due to the ongoing crisis. Obviously, I hope it does. That's kind of where my prediction goes, but there is a good chance that it could not play out like that at all. Things could get way, way worse with this pandemic before they start getting better. Unemployment numbers, they're likely to soar right through the roof, giving us depression levels of unemployment. And there is a very, very real possibility that Bitcoin may get crushed price-wise in a global economic depression. Now, such an eventuality that may invalidate these historical trends that I've been discussing. But personally, I think that the macro picture for Bitcoin, it is looking awesome. Long term, I have no doubts about the probability of Bitcoin going up to $100,000. It seems more and more certain as we see the global economic situation really just continuing to unfold in extreme dysfunction. Infinite quantitative easing, it has been announced. That's insane. That's most major fiat currencies, infinite QE. Rates have been slashed across the board by central banks. The debt, oh man, the debt, it has just reached unimaginable proportions. The system is fundamentally broken. And the sociopaths leading most countries, they have no idea what the heck they are doing. Watching Bitcoin go through the halving at the same time that we see fiat currencies experiencing just this extreme pain, huge inflation, it's almost a thing of devastating beauty. Just for fun, let me share with you the Bitcoin rainbow chart. Now, you know what this chart shows? It shows that there are way more buying opportunities for Bitcoin than there are selling opportunities. You know what that means? Stack, sats, and chill. Long term, Bitcoin is still looking great. Those accumulating at these prices are going to look back in a couple years and laugh. The halving, in many ways, it is so super important. And at the same time, a total non-event, because all the halving really is a sign on the highway as we continue on our journey to the moon. The real effects of the Bitcoin halving, that will take many, many months to really be felt by the wider crypto community, even if it means a lot of potential pain for a lot of Bitcoin miners. Thus, my Bitcoin prediction remains basically what it has always been around the Bitcoin halving. There will be no new all-time high before the Bitcoin halving. Post-halving, there is likely to be a bit of a deflation in the price as the mining hash rate drops and as speculators reposition themselves. By the end of the year, $20,000 remains a very real possibility, assuming, of course, that the crisis that we're currently experiencing has largely blown over by that point. In late 2021, we are likely to see a new cycle peak. And yes, that potentially means that Bitcoin could go to $100,000 late next year. Anyway, those are just my 2 Satoshis from a little hit on the hopium bong there. I would love to know your opinion on the Bitcoin halving. Do you think that my prediction is going to play out? Do you see it happening differently? What are your price predictions for the halving? How do you see it playing out? I would love to know your thoughts down below in the comments section. By the way, if you are new around here and you're still trying to figure out all the basics around crypto, then check out my course, Cryptocurrency Explained. I have specifically designed it for total beginners to take their first steps into crypto. It will walk you through all of the basics like how to buy, how to send, how to store Bitcoin and Ethereum safely, as well as top tips and top resources that you need for your investing success. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Hope that you're staying safe, that you're keeping a really good positive attitude out there during all of the crazy that we are seeing in the world. Remember to count your blessings, guys. I know sometimes it seems a bit like, everything's so crazy, but take a minute, step back, appreciate the things in your life, have that moment of gratitude. It really, really can do a lot to change the way that you are seeing things. Anyway, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, guys. You know the YouTube algorithm, they love that thumbs up thing. And of course, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.